أحمد وأصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد. Today I'm going to keep it short but to the point. Is it the responsibility of the Muslims to be aware of who are the people that the CIA is funding and who corrupt regimes are funding? I think it is prudent and important for Muslims to know that yes, such and such group is in fact is being supported by agencies other than, or foreign agencies that have an agenda of their own. The growing subgroup within our Salafi brothers, the Mudkhalis, who are basically secular Muslims, and they don't care if the laws of Sharia are not applied, because they believe that you cannot criticize the leader. They come out in their full robes and their Arabized clothing, the Saudi clothing. And the other Salafi brothers, who because of being Salafi, you know what happens? That I'm Salafi, you're Salafi. And then because you're Salafi and I'm Salafi and you're this type of Salafi and I'm this type of Salafi, but because, we're already so small, so we have to kind of like get along. So the other Salafis are like, okay, let's just get along on this issue, okay? Let's just get along in this issue. And so this is why I want to tell. Because I know from a long time ago, Imam Karim Abu Zayd, I want you to be bold. I want you to say that it is okay for a person to criticize the wrongs that are going on in Saudi Arabia, the wrongs that are going on with Mecca and Medina, and that the whole culture of the Middle East that is being liberalized, is being changed, is wrong. Rather than saying, oh, you can't criticize the government and you can only advise the leader in private. What type of nonsense is this? It's completely against the Quranic teachings. One thing is the Prophet adds something to the Quran, but there can be nothing in the Sunnah that contradicts the Quran. But let's just focus on what I want to say. So there is a think tank, okay, that I want you to know about. It's called the International Crisis Group. They came out with a report, and I'm going to show you another report called the ICG Middle East Report from Amman, Riyadh, and Brussels. Why? Because they want to be able to promote certain people that fit their agenda. Well, if we look at this, okay, if we look at this report over here, if we look for who are being supported, okay, in the early 1900s, the regime also sought to split the Sahwa ranks. Sahwa ranks were those Muslims in the Arab world who wanted to Islamize their version of Islam, whatever it was. Shiekh Safhawali, many great scholars, okay, many respectful scholars, scholars that had a backbone, scholars that spoke their truth. They stood up and said, no, we need to. And there was a time in the 1970s and the 1980s where Saudi Arabia was giving a lot of money for Islamic work. They gave money to Sheikh Ahmadidat, and they gave money to different institutions in America, and all that came to an end after 9/11. But then they started supporting, after the Rand report came out, they started supporting the group that says and that teaches you cannot speak against the leader. So this is not a balanced approach, The balanced approach, I will talk about that at another time, but I only want to talk about this issue right now. In the early 1990s, the regime sought out to split the Sahwa ranks, those people that wanted Islam in Arabia and the Islamic culture, okay? So they wanted to split the Sahwa ranks, those people who wanted Islamic revival, by promoting Mudkhaliism movement, named after Sheikh Abi Mudkhali. Its views closely mirrored the Wahhabi establishment's unconditional submission to religious and political authority and condemnation of politicized, heretical Sahwa clerics. Meaning, if you're like Sheikh, or if you're like one of those shayukh that was criticizing the government, no, That's like, for them, this is their holy grail. You cannot do that. And they will call you a khawarij, and they will a lot of things. Don't worry about it. Taking a page from the Sahwa, however, Mudkhali's disciples, like some of these brothers that are speaking out today on YouTube, used tapes, conferences, and later websites to convey their message, thereby countering their foes more effectively than the religious establishment. By 1994, the Mudkhalis reportedly had converted a number of former Sahwists, and it continues on. So this is one thing I wanted to show you. The other one that I want to show you is this report over here. Let's see if I can bring it up. Mudkhali is being funded. This is by Brother Muhammad Hijab from Egypt. I mean, he's in England. May Allah bless him. Mudkhalis are being funded by the USA according to CIA report. Okay. The difficulty comes in identifying the right leader or group. The US could discreetly fund mainstream Salafi figures like Mudkhali, who are effective in support off from the jihadists. Now, they talk about the jihadists, but their real target is no one should criticize the Saudi government, okay? And so this whole report is about this issue, okay? The United States government might consider establishing a think tank staffed with highly trained experts on the Middle East and counter-insurgency, okay? But this is what they say that they want money for. But what they really want money for is to pay the ulama to allow liberalization in Arabia. Okay? And this is why, and so this other brother says here, Mudkhalis have a long history of reporting other scholars to the government. They're spies for the government. This is how they started, and many people end up in prisons because of them. Okay? So also in Wikipedia, those people that support this type of Salafi thought, which is like the neo-Salafi and the worst kind of the neo-Salafi, you can say. Mudkhalism is a strain of Islamist thought within the larger Salafist movement based on the writings of Sheikh Rabi Mudkhali. Arab states have generally favored Mudkhalism due to its support for secular reforms of government as opposed to strains of Salafism. Because, so now, those Mudkhalis, those Salafi, so now I'm telling the Salafi brothers, I know you want to show support for people that seem to be like-minded like you, but you do not need to support this group within your group. And Imam Abu Karim needs to show that he has a backbone. Okay? You need to have a backbone, and you need to stand up and say, no, we Muslims in America have a responsibility for the whole ummah. Okay? We Muslims in America have a responsibility towards the whole ummah. And if some government is doing something against Islam, particularly where Mecca and Medina are, okay, we have the right to voice those concerns. We have the right to voice those concerns according to the Sharia. And if Imam Abu Karim doesn't agree with that, that's fine. But I want all Muslims to know that these people have been funded by the powers that be. And so all the Quran, and they don't usually recite Quran, they bring in narrations of the Prophet because you can easily overturn them to what they want. And this is what they've been doing, misinterpreting the hadiths. All of these hadiths, by the way, the leader, none of that actually means leader. The word is Amir in all those narrations. And there's no Amir. Who is an Amir? The Amir is the one who takes the bay'ah. So all their narrations and explanations of their narrations that you have to listen to the leadership, and it's all down the drain. All down the drain. Their explanations go down the drain because they haven't even defined the words that they're trying to impose upon people. Which any person who's actually been in study circles will do. He will define the important key words. Leave that. So I just wanted to have this short conversation that now what's going to happen? The Mudkhalis are going to be hired, and the people that, and they're not going to speak against the government. The government's going to bring in liberalism. No one's going to speak against them. Anyone who speaks against them, they'll be shut down. Okay? They'll be removed. They'll be terrorized and suppressed by these Mudkhalis. You know, it reminds me exactly of the time of situation of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. You had the Pharisees, the ulama of Bani Israel. One of the two times Allah uses the word ulama in Quran. One is إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء, and the other is ulama Bani Israel. So these ulama of Bani Israel, they opposed the Prophet of Allah. Why? Because he opposed the system of that time. And this is why in Surah Saf, that surah that talks about iqamatul din, an aqimud din, the huwa alladhi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa din al haqq liyudhhirahu ala ad-din kulli. And then this is the same surah that mentions ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu ansarallah. And then Allah mentions فآمن الطائفة من بني إسرائيل وكفر الطائفة فأيدنا الذين آمنوا على عدوهم فأصبحوا ظاهرين. إن الله يحب الذين يقاتلون في سبيله صفا كأنهم بنيان مرصوص. This is all in the same surah. And the main theme is support the haqq, establish the haqq on the world. And so Isa ﷺ was saying things the ulama of Bani Israel didn't like. But these were corrupt ulama. They were ulama as-salatin. And they were speaking for they were puppets for their puppet masters. You know, they were speaking on behalf of the Roman Empire and speaking on behalf of their own interests. And so they opposed Isa ﷺ. This is what these Mudkhali scholars that are now going to be hired in the Arab world, one by one, and you'll have this whole set of Mudkhalis who will then tell people, don't you dare speak against and criticize the government. And what will happen as a result? Liberalism, anti-Islamic propaganda, anti-Islamic culture, anti-Muslim culture, even anti-Arab culture will come in. And you'll have more than two pronouns, he, she, they, it, and whatever. This is all going to now happen as a result of these Mudkhalis being supported. And who are and so those Mudkhalis that are in America, at least Muslims in America, the ulama in America, need to stand up against these Mudkhalis, at least over here, because we have some rights here. And we should say, these people are it doesn't matter if their skin's white. These people are being supported by an agency, either they are either intentionally or unintentionally falling in someone else's agenda. It's that simple. So I want this to be very clear that there is a very evil, cruel agenda behind this whole issue, and this is why, this is their holy grail. You cannot, you cannot criticize the government, and the minute you criticize the government, they will lash out at you, pretending you're not, you're not supposed to do this according to Islam. Who does this benefit? This benefits no one but the governments, the secular governments, and this is why, the description is what Arab states generally have favored Mudkhalism. Meaning favored means what? This is what they support, and they help them with their support through the YouTube videos and through the websites and through social media. And so this is why you find so many Mudkhalis on the social media. And now, as soon as, now you find more and more of these young punks coming out who have very little knowledge of the deen. Like, I challenge any of these people to actually define things properly. Tell me, what is the fard in this? What is the sunnah in this? Where does this fall within our fiqh, and why? I challenge you to actually have a scholarly conversation, not read a bunch of narrations and give your own interpretation, but actually define things properly. This is why this is, does this point that you're making go? It goes against Quran, because the Quran says, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. Let there be a group amongst you that calls towards all good. Now, minkum is collective. Collective means public. That includes the leader or the secular leader or whoever. وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. Called towards the khair. وَيَعْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. What? Individually or collectively? Collectively. وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَعْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, and they forbid evil. فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. These are the people of success. So if there is a munkar, a wajib that is being broken, a fard that is being broken in society, it is the responsibility. What are the scholars there for? To lead people in prayers? Or to ultimately they're there to build up the moral character of the people, to give the people the prophetic character. And so, unfortunately, these Mudkhalis are becoming more prominent, but I hope with some of the things that have been happening recently, these people get exposed and people confront them and ask them. Like, I would like to ask some of these brothers, hey, are you being paid by the CIA? Are you online because you're paid by the CIA? I don't want to take names, but everybody knows who they are that I'm referring to. Are you paid by the CIA? That every time Saudi Arabia is criticized, you feel like you have to come online and like defend Saudi Arabia no matter what it is doing? Like, have you lost your mind? You are either on the side of the Prophet and defending Medina, or you're on the side of the Saudi regime. Choose which side you want to be on. You want to defend and to free Mecca and Medina, or you want to keep Mecca and Medina colonized and bring in liberalism there. Anyway, so we'll end here. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.